we are going to move to arts, but we are not leaving slavery. I'm going to introduce you to Lisa Kristine. Lisa Kristine is the winner of the Lucy Foundation 2013 Humanitarian Award for her photography. She has published 5 books and has been herself the subject of 4 documentaries. In 2010, Lisa published Slavery, a powerful collection of images documenting slavery in Nepal, in India, and in Ghana. Lisa's pictures inspired the movie Sold that you will see tonight. And the character inspired by Lisa is played by Gillian Anderson, who will be with us this evening. It is a privilege to have both of them today at Trust Women. Please welcome Lisa Kristine.
You know, when I was a little girl, my life was actually pretty chaotic. And I used to take solace sitting in the corner of my mom's living room at this big bookshelf. And I'd pull out these large volumes of anthropology books. And through these pages, I would just look at these astonishing people so covered with mud and feather that they looked like the earth itself. And I think from my little kid perspective, I saw them as unshakable, you know, that they had this assuredness. And I remember going outside of our house in the neighborhood on Louvain Drive, our street, and declaring to the universe, when I'm old enough, I'm going to go find these people and learn what it is that they have so I can incorporate it in my own life. For more than 30 years, I've been documenting indigenous people vulnerable to change in more than 100 countries on 6 continents. And I've done so with this notion of unity, with dignity, with diversity. Because what would the world be like if, instead of reacting to one another's differences with this knee-jerk fear, instead we had a notion of curiosity or wonder? How would that change our relationships? How would that change our global relationships? In 2009, I was asked to be the exhibitor at the Global Peace Summit in Vancouver with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and other Nobel laureates. And it was there that I met a supporter of an organization called Free the Slaves. And they're dedicated to eradicating slavery in our lifetime. And while I knew that there was a little bit of trafficking, I had absolutely no idea that at that time there were 27 million people enslaved. And while that number today is more like 46 million, I was staggered. I felt like I got hit by a train. And I was so angry, like, how could this be happening? And then I was upset at myself because my entire occupation is built on observing others, on being present with people, and I had totally missed it. And then I had a panic, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I don't know that slavery exists, how many others don't? So within a couple weeks, I flew down to Los Angeles to meet with the co-founder of Free the Slaves. Her name was Peggy Callahan, and I offered my help. And that was really my introduction to working on the front lines. Interestingly, most of the places I would end up going to, I had been before, and some I even considered like a second home because I spend so much time in them. But this time, you know, I'd be seeing the skeletons in the closet. I was first introduced to slavery in the brick kilns of Nepal and India. And it felt like walking into Dante's Inferno. On some days, the temperatures exceeded 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and men, women, children, entire families were covered in a blanket of dust as they stacked bricks on their head, up to 18 at a time, each brick weighing nearly 4 pounds. They would walk 100 or so yards away to unload their gear and then return back to get more. And while they did that, the children who were too young to work in the kilns were left alone and to their own devices unsupervised. In Ghana, Tens of thousands of children are enslaved on Lake Volta. They love small children because of their nimble hands, and they can pull debris and things out of the fishing nets. Now, these children are forced to work on one of the largest man-made lakes in the world, 17 or 18 hours a day, and none of them know how to swim. In fact, sometimes they're tossed in the water to untether nets from the limbs that come out of that man-made lake, and they drown. In Nepal, I witnessed young children carrying stones that weighed more than the children themselves. It would take several of them to pick up the stone and put it on the child's back and tether it with wraps and yards up on their forehead. They'd frequently interlock their hands so they could stabilize each other when they went down the perilous journey to the bottom of the mountain. In Ghana, I went deep inside of illegal gold mine shafts with groups of men that were enslaved. When they go down, they only have primitive tools, a sack to collect their stone, and a cheap flickering flashlight that's tethered to their head with an elastic band. Now, they're meant to remain down in that hole for up to 72 hours at a time. And the shaft is actually held together from tree limbs. And those tree limbs become really moist under the earth. The earth is hot and wet. And when they come out, it's like they've been in a bath. They're just soaking wet. You know, people often have asked me, why do you do this work? Why do you put your life in danger to make these images? And, you know, I thought about it, and I thought, it doesn't feel like a choice to me. It feels like a calling to me. I don't think I could sleep unless I did something. It feels like that. And I think everyone in this room can understand that we all want to do whatever it is that we have the capacity to do to help others. And for me, it's shining a light on slavery. When I was in the field, I did two things. I photographed people in their forced labor, and then I had always brought bundles of candles with me. And when it was safe for them and safe for me, I made the portraits that you've seen here. Because the truth is, as Archbishop Desmond Tutu says, none of us are truly free until all of us are finally free. Thank you so much for your time.